Hello everyone and welcome back to another exciting episode of Boyographic, the show in which I, Matt, the Game Boy, will take you through the highs and lows of the Game Boy library, one cart at a time. This week we're looking at one game you might have overlooked in the wonderful marriage between Capcom and Disney. It's TaleSpin. There was a time when licensed games were good. This channel is living proof of that, hopefully. But one developer in particular that excels at licensed titles is without a doubt Capcom, who, in their marriage to Disney's various licenses, produced arguably not only the best licensed titles, but perhaps even some of the greatest games of their respective generations. DuckTales, Chip 'n Dale, and Aladdin, but to name a few. However, the game we're looking at in this episode isn't one of these, but a lesser known title that completely caught me off guard, and that's TaleSpin. The Jungle Book spin-off starring Baloo the Bear as a pilot for the Hire for Hire air freight company. An okay cartoon with perhaps the greatest theme song of all time, which thankfully the game perfectly renders on the title screen. Being unfamiliar with the NES title, I was expecting this to be a side-scrolling platform of sorts, and so was pleasantly surprised when it was actually a shmup. You pilot Captain Baloo through 5 simple levels, collecting cargo and cash, and fighting off Don Carnage's air pirates, as well as various other enemies dotted around depending on the theme of the level. Each of these stages accumulates in a boss fight, which is, well, a bit of a disappointment as they're all a little bit of a pushover. And that's probably the main thing I can poke a hole through here, that this game is actually pretty easy. In your first time playing this game, I know that statement can seem a little bit absurd. After all, you can only fire one bullet at a time. The Sea Duck doesn't fly very fast, and manoeuvring it can be a bit of a hassle. Put these together and it's easy to see why you might struggle starting off. But if you fly and fire like I do when I play more shmups, you'll unearth a lot of secret treasure and hearts to tide you over, and occasionally you will unearth some bonus levels where you play as Cloud Kicker collecting balloons, which always results in you getting an extra life at the end if you're fast enough. As I've said, the bosses are all pretty easy, and arguably only the fourth one offers any real challenge to the player. But by using various power-ups you can buy from the garage between levels, even these guys won't be much of a problem. Though, once you've got the mechanics under your belt and are playing with a little bit of skill, these power-ups are more of a nice to have rather than a necessity. The game plays very well and offers a little bit of a twist to the traditional side-scrolling formula that almost makes this game feel a little Defender-esque. By pressing the B button, you'll flip lane upside down and fly in the opposite direction, allowing you to fly backwards and in turn away from danger, be this from enemy fire or to avoid an object. Though you need to be careful doing this, as the hitbox around the plate isn't really as accurate as it should be, meaning that you can easily catch on, say, a mountain and instantly kill yourself, which is pretty damn frustrating to say the least. Apart from these small gripes, there's not a lot wrong with TaleSpin. It offers a nice twist to the shooter genre with the flipping of the plane, not to mention the game scrolls in some pretty interesting ways. While this certainly isn't an R-Type or a Gradius game, it's a fun take on the genre that should not only be seen as a curiosity, but a shooter that should appeal to younger gamers and fans of the genre, not necessarily looking for the difficulty and frustration that can often be found alongside shmups. The game's music is great, and certainly up there with some of Capcom's best in my opinion. And while the game's art is perhaps a little basic, for the speed the game scrolls and continues to keep a steady frame rate with minimal slowdown, its graphics are more than passable, with some of the environment design looking especially nice. So if you're looking for a fun game with great music, nice visuals and a shmup that can be played at a pleasant pace, then TaleSpin might be something worth looking at. The game certainly isn't going to tickle the pattern memory and twitch shooting that more shmup fans are looking for, but for those who enjoy this genre but not the difficulty level it often implies, TaleSpin is definitely a game for you. And that brings us to the end of another episode of Boyographic, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, why not check out some more of our Boyographic videos in which we look at the highs and lows of the Game Boy library one cart at a time every week, usually on a Friday. Check out some more Boy Curious videos to see some oddities and bootlegs for the system, as well as the All the Glory videos in which I do some Game Boy long plays, cutting out all of the deaths and leaving you with all of the glory. If you like the video, subscribe, and why not check me out on Twitter at Gameboy. Until next week, Game Boys and girls, game on.